I think we got to go back to what the Prime Minister wrote to us and said here at the Flow News 24 desk, and said vaccination will be a voluntary exercise, and yet the behaviour of premiers and their chief health officers has indicated something quite to the contrary. But it does look like these Labor premiers have jumped up in the last 12 hours or so and read from the same song sheet that they're attacking Scott Morrison. There must be a federal election coming, Wayne.
And we're on the Flow Morning Show, and today we have a look at the changing nature of politics in relation to the mandate circumstance, the marches in Melbourne, and how Labor premiers are reacting to the Prime Minister's comments. Rikki Lambert is with me. How are you today, Rikki?
I'm great, Wayne, and I enjoy the wordsmithing that's happened around Australia. We had the stroll out was the word of the year this year, and this is what's happening in politics. I called it pandemic politics at the start of the year, and it's still playing out here in Australia.
It is. Let's have a look at it. We've had a significant number of people arrive in Melbourne outside Spring Street at the Parliament House on the weekend. Some are saying between 50 and 100,000, and there's no doubt that a lot of that voice has got back to the Prime Minister.
Yeah, look, I think we got to go back to what the Prime Minister wrote to us and said here at the Flow News 24 desk, and said vaccination will be a voluntary exercise, and yet the behaviour of premiers and their chief health officers has indicated something quite to the contrary. But it does look like these Labor premiers have jumped up in the last 12 hours or so and read from the same song sheet that they're attacking Scott Morrison. There must be a federal election coming, Wayne.
Well, the Queensland government has accused the Prime Minister of trying to claw together a coalition of anti-vaxxers for his own political survival. And then that was from Queensland, but reiterated out of Western Australia.
Yeah, that's right. Premier McGowan's had a crack as well, and it just sounds very similar to what the Palaszczuk government's saying. He was urging Morrison to not go dog whistling to anti-vaccination protesters, contending that mainstream politics should be about encouraging people to get vaccinated, and that the Prime Minister's comments were very unhelpful.
It is interesting because there's also been a report in the West Australian paper that Queensland-based businessman Clive Palmer has falsely claimed on the United Australia Party's Facebook page that West Australia's hospital crisis is the result of Premier McGowan's vaccine mandate. So we've even got to be drawn into this at a political level, Clive Palmer.
Well, Clive Palmer is sort of the boogeyman that the Labor side of politics likes to drag into every federal election and suggest that somehow he'll be pulling the strings with the Morrison government if he gets people elected. Of course, Craig Kelly, the disgruntled Liberal MP running for United Australia Party in New South Wales. Will they pick up seats? Who knows? I'm very dubious about that, Wayne. I don't know what you think, but I reckon this is just Labor creating a scare campaign.
Well, at a state level, and maybe Scott Morrison trying to get back some of his base before a federal campaign next year. But it will be interesting because Adelaide has its protest at the moment. There are talks that there will be tens of thousands at that. It would seem that if that is the case, and we'll know that after Saturday, that there is a growing sentiment that people aren't happy about mandates.
Well, I tell you what, Wayne, 10,000 or so probably won't be at the cricket at the Adelaide Oval. I understand that the mandate has been issued for the spectators, that they'll have to be double jabbed to attend the cricket. It's just not cricket, is it, Wayne?
It certainly isn't. And for those at the soccer grounds and other major sporting events at a South Australian level, joining those in other states in New South Wales and Victoria with those similar rulings, which I think is pretty disappointing. But at the same time, we're going to see whether or not the protests echo the feelings that I seem to think about what is happening with mandates in this country.